Picture this. The first rays of sunlight slip through the entrance of a limestone cave, casting golden streaks across the rough stone walls. It's 30,000 years ago, in what we now call southern France, and the world is waking up, not to the screech of an alarm clock or the ping of a smartphone, but to the soft, living rhythm of the earth itself. The air hums with distant bird calls, the rustle of leaves, and the gentle breathing of a family curled up together under furs. This isn't the Hollywood caveman scene you're used to, no grunting, club-wielding brutes here. This is the human wild, where we're diving into the real lives of our Paleolithic ancestors, people whose days were as full and complex as ours, just dressed in a different costume. So, settle in by the fire because we're about to spend a day with them, and trust me, it's going to change the way you see humanity. You wake up with the light, your body perfectly tuned to the sun's rise. No grogginess, no need for a triple-shot espresso to kickstart the day. Modern sleep researchers have studied communities without electricity and found that humans naturally rise with the increasing light, their circadian rhythms in sync with the world. Our ancestors didn't need fancy sunrise lamps or smart home systems. They had the real thing, and it set the tone for a day driven by purpose and connection. As your eyes adjust to the dawn, you're not in a cave at all, not really. The word caveman is a myth we've been sold. Most Paleolithic people were nomads, roaming vast landscapes, following herds of deer or seasonal plants across territories so wide they'd make your morning commute look like a stroll. Caves were more like temporary shelters, used during harsh weather or for sacred ceremonies, not permanent homes. With only about 0.4 people per square kilometer, the world was theirs to explore, and their settlements, whether open-air camps or rock shelters, were alive with activity. As the camp stirs, you're surrounded by maybe 25 people, an extended family sleeping close, kids nestled between adults for warmth and safety. This isn't just cozy, it's survival. Child development experts today rave about the benefits of co-sleeping for emotional security and infant survival, something our ancestors figured out tens of thousands of years ago. As bodies stretch and eyes open, the group's needs come first. Someone checks on the elderly grandmother, listening to her cough. Another watches the pregnant woman for signs of labor. This isn't idle chatter. It's a kind of community care that modern medicine is only now rediscovering through terms like social determinants of health. These people were wired for connection, and every morning began with making sure everyone was okay. But before anyone thinks about breakfast or fetching water, one task demands attention. The fire. An elder, maybe someone who's spent decades mastering this craft, kneels by the hearth in the pre-dawn glow. Maintaining fire was the heartbeat of Paleolithic life, technology, protection, and kitchen all in one. It wasn't just about warmth, though in the Ice Age that was critical. Fire kept predators at bay, cooked food, hardened tools, and brought the group together. The firekeeper's job is a delicate dance, gently blowing on embers banked the night before. Too much air, and the embers scatter. Too little, and they suffocate. Small twigs, chosen for their burning properties, are added first, followed by larger logs arranged to maximize airflow. It's not random, it's engineering, chemistry, and art, passed down through generations without a single written word. You might think keeping a fire going sounds easy, but modern campers with matches and lighter fluid would beg to differ. Archaeological evidence, like ash and charred bones from Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, shows humans were managing fire a million years ago. They used slow-burning materials like dried fungi or compacted dung, nature's time-release fuel. When the group moved, they carried glowing embers in hollow bones packed with moss, like a prehistoric portable stove. This was humanity's first 24/7 operation, and the firekeeper was part engineer, part chemist, part social coordinator, managing a technology that changed our species forever. As the flames flicker to life, casting dancing shadows on the cave walls, the fire does more than warm the camp. Fossilized skeletons tell us these ancient foragers were healthier than later farmers, taller, less prone to starvation or malnutrition. Why? Because they shared. Other groups might visit to borrow embers, creating a network of reciprocal relationships that make modern social media look like child's play. That morning fire is a signal to the world. We're here. We're alive. We're human. It's a deterrent to prowling predators, a hub for cooking, tool-making, and gathering. It's the heart of Paleolithic life, and it sets the stage for what comes next. Without a calendar invite or a boss barking orders, the adults gather around the fire. This is the morning council, a ritual that predates any government by tens of thousands of years. An elderly woman, respected for her knowledge of the landscape and her knack for predicting weather, leads the conversation. This isn't the patriarchal caveman society you might imagine. Archaeological evidence, like art and burial sites, shows women often held high status, and decisions were made by consensus, with both men and women weighing in. Competence, not gender, ruled the day. The council is a situation room, pooling the group's intelligence. A young hunter mentions deer tracks near the water source. Maybe a good hunt, but they're cautious, suggesting predators might be nearby. A gatherer Gina shares that the hazelnut groves 2 valleys over are almost ripe. Someone notes a shift in the wind, hinting at weather changes. Everyone gets a say, even teenagers, though they're expected to listen more than talk. Ideas bounce around, get refined, and a plan emerges naturally. No voting, no bureaucracy, just pure, organic democracy. Today's plan takes shape. A hunting party will scout those deer tracks, taking a longer route to check other sites. Gatherers will finish collecting nuts from a nearby grove. Crafters will stay behind to work on winter clothing, and an elder will take the kids to the stream, teaching them about edible plants while fetching water. What's striking is what's missing. No one's stuck doing meaningless busywork. Every task has a clear purpose, tied to survival and the group's well-being. Compare that to our world, where so many jobs feel like chasing likes or pushing paper. The morning council isn't just about planning. It's a daily reminder of their bonds. Grievances are aired before they fester. Knowledge passes from old to young. A grandmother teaches a new mother about infant care. A hunter shares a tracking tip. A kid pipes up about a new berry patch. It's governance, education, and community all in one, setting the tone for a day as complex as any of ours. As the council wraps up, the camp splits into action. One group grabs containers, animal bladders, or woven baskets sealed with pine resin, and heads for the water source. This isn't as simple as turning on a tap. The water run is a journey, often a few hundred meters, and it's risky. Dawn and dusk are predator hours, so they time it for mid-morning, balancing visibility and safety. The group moves like a well-oiled machine, one person scanning for threats while others fill containers. They're not just carrying water, they're gathering intel. Fresh tracks in the mud reveal which animals drank here last night. A broken branch might mean a bear passed through. This knowledge is as vital as the water, and they'll share it back at camp. Their containers, engineered through trial and error, are light when empty, sturdy when full. Some groups used hollowed gourds or birch bark. And their multitasking, archaeological finds from Cabra Cave in Israel show they collected edible plants like large-seeded legumes on these trips, maximizing efficiency in a way that would make modern productivity gurus jealous. The return journey is tough. 30 pounds of water sloshing in containers, carried with tump lines across the forehead to distribute weight. They walk a specific gait to avoid spills, choosing routes to avoid rough terrain. It's ergonomics perfected over millennia, and it's a reminder, without water, nothing else matters. While the water carriers head out, another group prepares for the breakfast hunt. This isn't the dramatic mammoth chase of movies. It's a precise operation to secure protein for the morning. A small team, maybe 3 to 5 hunters who've worked together for years, moves with the coordination of a SWAT team. Their weapons, wooden spears with fire-hardened tips, some paired with atlatls to boost throwing power, are marvels of engineering, balanced for accuracy and force. These hunters don't rely on brute strength but on brains. They've spent lifetimes studying deer behavior, where they feed, their favorite paths, their reactions to danger. A bent grass blade tells them how recently an animal passed. The height of browsed branches reveals its size. Fresh droppings show diet and health. They're not just tracking. They're predicting, thinking several moves ahead like chess players. When they spot their prey, a small group of deer in a clearing, the real skill kicks in. They position themselves downwind, move silently across noisy terrain, and coordinate without a word. One hunter circles wide to drive the deer toward the others, who wait along escape routes. It's a tactical ambush, and when a spear flies, it's over in seconds. A hit means protein for the group. A miss means hunger. When successful, they field dress the animal on the spot, wasting nothing. Antlers for tools, hide for clothing, sinew for thread. Every part has a purpose. This efficiency, backed by archaeological evidence of healthy skeletons, shows why these foragers thrived where later farmers struggled. As the hunters slip into the forest, the camp hums with a different kind of energy. Those who stay behind aren't idle, they're crafting, gathering, and teaching, weaving the threads of survival into something more. Picture a group of women, young and old, heading out to a valley 2 hours away, their baskets and digging sticks at the ready. Gathering wasn't just picking berries at random, it was the backbone of the Paleolithic diet, providing most of the calories that kept these people strong. Finds from Caveman cave show they ate nutrient-rich plants like large-seeded legumes long before farming existed. The leader, maybe a grandmother with decades of experience, knows exactly where the tubers are ripe, following a mental map built from years of observing the land. These women move like ecological scientists, reading the landscape with every step. A young woman spots unfamiliar berries and doesn't just eat them. She crushes one, rubs it on her wrist, and waits for irritation. If it passes, she'll test it on her lips, then her tongue, spacing out each step to avoid poisoning. This methodical approach let humans safely explore new foods as they moved into new territories, and it's a knowledge base that modern ethnobotanists say outstrips today's field guides. Their route is no random wander. It's a calculated path, hitting resource patches in an order that balances ripening times, travel distance, and carrying capacity. They're solving a problem mathematicians call the traveling salesman problem, using mental maps and collective memory instead of algorithms. Along the way, they're gathering more than food. Disturbed vegetation might signal a herd of aurochs. Early blooming flowers could mean a warmer season. This intel gets shared back at camp, adding to the group's knowledge. And while they work, the group bonds. Older women share stories, passing wisdom through songs that encode plant and season details. Young mothers carry babies in slings, letting them absorb the sights and sounds that will one day guide their own gathering. It's work, education, and community all in one. Back at camp, another group is tackling a task that might surprise you: clothing. This isn't about crude fur wraps. Paleolithic fashion was about survival, and the skills would humble modern designers. A woman works a deer hide with a stone scraper, her hands moving rhythmically to remove every trace of fat and flesh. One mistake could ruin the hide, and in a world where clothing means warmth, that's not an option. Nearby, another needs a brainwater paste into a cleaned hide, softening it into leather so supple you'd think it came from a high-end store. This is chemistry, perfected over generations, using natural enzymes to break down tough fibers. Then there's the sewing, where bone needles, crafted from animal limbs, create stitches so fine they'd rival a tailor's work. These needles, found in sites like Denisova Cave, let them make fitted garments with hoods, sleeves, and fur linings. One woman might be stitching waterproof leggings from fish skin, her stitches tight enough to keep out water. A boy practices twisting plant fibers into cord, his early attempts lumpy but guided by an elder's patient hand. These cords will one day be strong enough for traps or shelters. And it's not all function, there's style too. They're sewing shell beads onto clothing, painting leather with ochre, adding fringes that move with the wind. A young man drills a fox tooth for a pendant, an hours-long process using a stone drill and sand. These ornaments signal skill, status, or group identity, and they're trade items, portable wealth swapped with other bands for resources or favors. Sites across Europe show Mediterranean shells in landlocked regions, Baltic amber far from its source, proof of trade networks spanning continents. This wasn't just survival, it was connection and identity. While the adults craft, the kids are learning through play that's anything but frivolous. A group throws miniature spears, sharpening their aim. A girl weaves grass into a tiny basket, practicing patterns for real containers. Another naps pebbles, mimicking the toolmaker's strikes. By 6 or 7, kids were contributing, gathering plants, helping with water runs. Footprints in Namibia and hand stencils in France's Rouffignac cave show kids, as young as 2, leaving their mark alongside adults. This was the Paleolithic education system, and it was genius. Older kids mentored younger ones, reinforcing their own skills. Physical games, climbing trees, wrestling, built strength and agility for hunting or escaping predators. And they had time, hours of unstructured exploration to follow their curiosity. Modern schools are trying to recreate this, but our ancestors had it down to an art. Don't forget the dogs. Humanity's first domesticated animals, tamed from wolves long before agriculture. A kid playing with wolf puppies at the camp's edge is part of a bond that changed the world, helping with hunts and guarding the camp. As the sun climbs higher, the camp settles into a midday rest. Not laziness, but a smart adaptation to the heat. Hunters return, sharing stories that update the group's mental map of game movements. Tools are maintained, a spear point reflaked, a basket rewoven. Visitors from other bands might arrive, trading shells or flint, swapping stories about resources or weather. Elders, far from sidelined, shared decades of knowledge about rare events like droughts. Their memories a living library. This rest is when innovation sparks. Someone experiments with a new knot or decorates a tool. These quiet moments, free from survival's pressure, are where creativity thrives. As the afternoon fades, the camp prepares for something special, the evening fire. The group converges around the hearth, the fire casting dancing shadows that turn rock formations into spirits or ancestors. Hunters return, maybe with a deer slung between them, and the mood is electric. Every part of the animal is used. Antlers, hide, sinew, bones, hooves, nothing wasted. Cut marks on bones from sites like Abri Patad show a butchering process as precise as a modern butcher shop. Food sharing follows complex rules, with the hunter who made the kill eating last. A gesture of generosity that binds the group. Unlike our modern meals, often eaten alone or in front of screens, this is social glue, a multi-generational space where everyone, from infants to elders, connects. The firelight sets the stage for storytelling, and it's pure magic. An elderly woman speaks, her voice weaving tales of hunts, floods, or great winters. These aren't just stories, they're history, science, and moral lessons. Kids learn about dangerous territories or animal behavior while being captivated. Neuroscience shows storytelling engages multiple brain regions, bonding listeners, and our ancestors used the fire's flicker to make tales vivid. At Chauvet Cave, paintings seem to move, bison running across the walls like prehistoric cinema. Elders were revered as memory keepers, some buried with ivory beads arranged in patterns, hinting at their role. This oral tradition, rooted in complex language from 100,000 years ago, shaped our brains for narrative, a trait we still carry. Music fills the air. Bone flutes from Germany, 43,000 years old, joined by drums, rattles, and songs. Everyone participates, even babies bouncing to the rhythm in their mother's arms. This is education, entertainment, and bonding, passing knowledge with no written manuals. Spirituality comes alive too. Graves at Sungur, with thousands of ivory beads, show reverence for the dead rivaling ancient pharaohs. Red ochre, symbolizing blood and transformation, stains burials and art, a practice echoing in modern rituals. Cave art, like Lascaux's human-animal hybrids, suggests shamans or mythological beings. Deep caves, dangerous to reach, were sacred spaces, possibly portals to other worlds. Hand stencils might be offerings, like a pilgrim's mark. Music and dance, amplified by cave acoustics, likely induced trance states for spiritual journeys, a sophisticated system for understanding life, death, and the cosmos. As the fire burns low, someone takes up the night watch, spear in hand, eyes scanning the darkness. Threats are real: cave bears, saber-toothed cats, wolf packs. Bones with human tool marks and carnivore bites show competition for resources. Watchers kept fires burning, knowing predators feared flame, and learned to read every sound. Sites like Dalny Vestinus show nighttime toolmaking by firelight, maximizing productivity. This vigilance shaped our evolution: better night vision, acute hearing, all honed by the need to stay alert. Watch duties rotated based on age and health, ensuring safety never relied on one person. A system modern security experts would admire. In these quiet hours, innovation often sparked. Picture Mara dropping her clay-lined basket too close to the fire, discovering it hardens into a waterproof container. Such accidents led to ceramics, first used for figurines 29,000 years ago, then pots. The needle, from 50,000 years ago, revolutionized clothing. These breakthroughs spread through trade networks, with obsidian tools and shells traveling hundreds of miles. Women, often the keepers of these networks, carried knowledge that transformed life. Tools were constantly refined, each generation making them sharper, lighter, better, a culture of improvement that set the stage for our technology. Planning happens too, as elders discuss tomorrow's tasks. Sites like Cavemen Cave show they stockpiled stones, kept fires burning for months, preserved bones for marrow. Seasonal movements, covering 300 to 500 miles a year, were planned weeks ahead, following herds or nut groves. Pinsevent in France reveals autumn camps with organized butchering areas, like a prehistoric assembly line. These plans required trust. Caches of tools and food hidden for later suggest social agreements beyond family groups. The prefrontal cortex, key to planning, grew because those who thought ahead survived. Every evening discussion was a workout for that brain, preparing for what's next. As the fire is banked for the night, the camp settles, but the day's lessons linger. These people lived in balance, taking what they needed but rarely more. Studies of modern hunter-gatherers show lower rates of depression and chronic disease, a testament to their lifestyle. Their days were a dance of survival and meaning, cooperation, innovation, care. Our love of stories, our drive to improve, our instinct to connect, these were born around those fires. We're not so different. When you plan your day, teach a skill, or share a meal, you're tapping into traditions as old as humanity. The Paleolithic day never ended. It just changed its costume. Thanks for joining me on this journey through the human wild. If this blew your mind like it did mine, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me what part of their day surprised you most. Until next time, keep exploring the wild in us all.